Humans survived inside the void. That statement alone should be impossible. The void was not a place. It was an absence. No light, no matter, no time. Nothing entered and returned. Nothing. For 12,000 cycles, every civilization in our region of the galaxy accepted this as truth. Entire scientific religions were built around it. Then the humans came back. I am Keth of the Varine Collective. I was there when we first detected their signal. At the time, I believe humans were reckless. That was the pattern. Humans always rushed toward danger. Humans always volunteered first. Humans always smiled before doing something suicidal. It was irrational, predictable, useful. Our alliance depended on it. The war had already lasted 8 years. The Korlax Swarm kept advancing. World after world disappeared. Not conquered, consumed. The swarm did not negotiate. It did not occupy. It fed. I never understood why humans hated it so much. The swarm treated all species equally. It devoured everyone. Humans called that evil. I called it biological efficiency. That was my first mistake. The second came much later. Our fleet gathered above the dead moon of Tarsus. 700 warships. The largest alliance force ever assembled. Still not enough. The swarm outnumbered us 3-1. Their living vessels stretched across space like a disease. I remember watching tactical projections. Every simulation ended the same way. Defeat, extinction, delay, nothing more. The humans studied the data quietly. That worried me. Humans were loud creatures. When humans became silent, something dangerous usually followed. Admiral Reyes stood before the council. She looked exhausted. Humans often looked exhausted. I assumed it was a sign of weakness. Instead, it seemed to be their natural state. "We found a way," she said. Every representative froze. Hope was dangerous. False hope was worse. The admiral activated a star map. A black sphere appeared. The void. Immediately, several council members protested. One fainted. Another demanded medical assistance. The void was not a military target. It was a cosmic graveyard. Nothing survived there. Nothing. Our probes found something inside, Reyes continued. That statement alone violated centuries of science. I expected laughter. No one laughed. The humans never joked during briefings. That made it worse. They displayed images, broken signals, distorted readings, fragments of impossible structures. Something existed inside the void. Something enormous. Something ancient. My sensory frills tightened. I remember feeling cold. Varine do not experience fear the way humans do. At least, that is what we believed. The room felt smaller. The darkness on the display seemed alive. "What is it?" I asked. The admiral looked directly at me. "We don't know." The answer disturbed me more than any explanation. Humans hated uncertainty. Yet she sounded excited. Excited. As if ignorance itself was a treasure. That should have warned us. 3 days later, the expedition launched. 5 alliance vessels. 1 human cruiser. The cruiser was named Resolute. Human ships always had strange names. Hope. Defiance. Victory. Names did not improve survival rates. Or so I thought. I served aboard a Varine science vessel. Our mission was simple. Observe. Record. Stay alive. The humans had a different mission. Enter the void. That was not bravery. That was insanity. We reached the boundary after 11 jumps. Every sensor immediately failed. Communications flickered. Time measurements drifted. One of our navigators began screaming. No visible cause. Just screaming. Then silence. The void stretched before us. An ocean of absolute black. No stars. No radiation. Nothing. I expected Admiral Reyes to retreat. Instead, she smiled. Humans smile during inappropriate moments. I concluded it was a stress malfunction. Another mistake. The fleet crossed the boundary. Reality changed. There is no better description. Distances became uncertain. Shapes moved where no shapes existed. My own reflection appeared on empty walls. At one point, I saw myself standing behind me. I still do not understand how. Neither did the humans. Yet they kept moving. Hour after hour. Day after day. Every species aboard the expedition showed symptoms. Hallucinations. memory fractures, paranoia. Humans showed them too. The difference was unsettling. They simply continued working. One engineer calmly reported seeing insects crawling beneath his skin. Then he returned to repairing a reactor. I assumed he was mentally damaged. The humans called him dependable. Nothing about them made sense. On the seventh day, we found the structure. At first, I believed it was a planet, then a moon, then something larger. The object floated in the darkness. Ancient, silent, impossible. Its surface shifted constantly. Geometry folded into itself. Entire mountain ranges appeared and vanished. Sensors could not measure it. Computers refused to process it. One machine physically melted. The humans seemed fascinated. I wanted to leave immediately. The structure awakened. That is the only word that fits. A pulse erupted from its surface. Every ship shook. Every screen went dark. Then the voices began. Thousands of them. Medial. Whispering from nowhere. Dead languages. Unknown languages. Voices of species that no longer existed. One spoke directly into my mind. It knew my name. I collapsed. Around me, crew members panicked. Several lost consciousness. One tore apart a control panel with his bare claws. Chaos spread through the vessel. The Alliance fleet started breaking formation. Ships drifted. Collisions became possible. Everything was unraveling. Then the humans did something absurd. They moved closer, toward the source, toward the voices, toward the nightmare. Admiral Reyes ordered the Resolute forward. No hesitation, no debate, straight into the darkness. I thought I understood why. Humans always charge danger. That was their pattern. They could not help themselves. Danger attracted them, like stars attracted gravity. The Resolute approached the structure alone. The whispers intensified. Some crew members begged the humans to stop. Others demanded retreat. The humans ignored everyone. The ancient object opened. A crack appeared across its surface. Light emerged. Not normal light. Something older. Something wrong. Something that hurt to observe. For a moment, I glimpsed movement inside. A shape, vast beyond comprehension. Watching us. Waiting. My blood turned cold. The structure had not been abandoned. It had been sleeping, and humanity had just knocked on its door. Then every alarm aboard, every ship activated at once. A new fleet had arrived. The Korlax Swarm. Thousands of vessels. They had followed us into the void. And for the first time since the war began, I saw genuine concern on Admiral Reyes's face. Not fear, not panic, concern. As if the arrival of the swarm had endangered something far worse than ourselves. That was the moment I realized a terrible possibility. The humans had not come to the void searching for a weapon. They had come searching for answers. And whatever had just awakened was finally ready to answer. Humans survived inside the void. I thought that was the impossible truth. I was wrong. The impossible truth was what had survived with them. The Korlax Swarm filled the darkness. Thousands of living warships. An endless wall of hunger. Even inside the void, they kept coming. They feared nothing. At least, that was what every intelligence report claimed. Then the ancient thing inside the structure moved. The swarm stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. Entire formations froze. A silence spread across the battlefield. The whispers vanished. Every sensor aboard every vessel died simultaneously. The crack in the structure widened. Light poured out. Wrong light. Light that seemed to come from behind reality itself. I looked directly at it once. Only once. 3 hours of memory disappeared. I never recovered them. The shape emerged. At first, I believed it was a vessel. Then a creature. Then a living star. None of those descriptions fit. Its body shifted constantly. Space bent around it. Distances stretched. Entire sections appeared larger than planets. Others seemed smaller than dust. My brain rejected what my eyes saw. Several crew members lost consciousness instantly. One began laughing uncontrollably. I envied him. The thing turned toward the swarm. The swarm retreated. For the first time in recorded history, the swarm retreated. That should have been impossible. The Korlax consumed neutron stars. They attacked black hole harvesting stations. They charged planetary defense grids without hesitation. Yet now they fled. I reached a simple conclusion. The ancient being was stronger. That was my third mistake. Humans later explained the truth. Strength had nothing to do with it. The swarm recognized something. Something older than fear. Something buried deep inside its species' memory. Predators. Even monsters have predators. The ancient being watched the swarm. Nothing happened. No weapons fired. No energy signatures appeared. No attack. Then hundreds of swarm vessels simply disappeared. Not exploded. Not destroyed. Gone. One moment present. The next absent. Like erased thoughts. Panic spread through the swarm. Formations collapsed. Ships collided. Their perfect coordination shattered. I expected the humans to celebrate. They didn't. That confused me. This was the greatest victory in Alliance history. Why weren't they cheering? Why weren't they celebrating? Instead, every human aboard every vessel looked terrified. Not of the swarm. Of the thing helping us. That realization chilled me. The humans knew something. Something the rest of us didn't. Admiral Reyes opened a fleet-wide transmission. Her voice sounded strained. Do not engage. No one understood. The swarm was collapsing. Victory stood before us. Yet she repeated the order. Do not engage. Then she said something stranger. Everyone prepare evacuation protocols. Evacuation? The enemy was losing. My confusion became frustration. Typical human behavior, I thought. They were overreacting again. Humans constantly expected disaster. They imagined worst-case scenarios. That was their pattern. Another incorrect conclusion. The ancient being moved again, this time toward us. The battlefield became silent. Even the swarm stopped running. Every living thing watched. The creature crossed impossible distances instantly. One moment millions of kilometers away. The next directly beside the Resolute. My breathing stopped. The being studied the human cruiser. Studied, like a curious observer examining an insect. Then something extraordinary happened. The creature communicated. Not through language. Not through sound. Through memory. Images flooded my mind. Ancient galaxies. Dead civilizations. Stars being born. Stars dying. Entire universes collapsing. The being was unimaginably old. Older than every species present. Older than the swarm. Older than our histories. Then another memory appeared. Humans. Primitive humans. Tiny figures standing around fires. The ancient being watching them. Observing. Waiting. I couldn't understand. Why would such a creature care about humans? The answer came seconds later. And it terrified me. Humans had entered the void before. Not recently. Thousands of years ago. Accidentally. A lost exploration vessel. A primitive ship by modern standards. Every expectation said they should have died. Instead, they survived. Not because they escaped. Because they talked. I could barely process the memory. The humans had encountered this godlike entity long ago. And somehow they had spoken with it. The creature showed more memories. Human explorers sharing stories. Asking questions. Showing curiosity. Showing humor. Humor. To a cosmic horror older than galaxies. I could not comprehend such behavior. The creature had expected fear. The humans offered conversation. The creature expected worship. The humans offered friendship. No species in existence would do that. No rational species. The memory ended. The truth remained. The ancient being wasn't protecting humanity. Humanity had befriended it. The battlefield suddenly made sense. The concern on Admiral Reyes's face. The evacuation orders. The fear. Humans weren't worried about losing. They were worried about what their friend might do. The creature turned toward the fleeing swarm. Reality trembled. Stars appeared where none existed. Time itself seemed unstable. Then the humans broke their own pattern. For the entire war, humans had fought. Humans had charged danger. Humans had met violence with violence. That was the pattern everyone knew. Then Admiral Reyes transmitted a single command. Please stop. The ancient being paused. The entire battlefield froze. The creature listened. Actually listened. No threats. No force. No weapons. Just trust. A trust built across thousands of years. The creature focused on the human cruiser. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then reality stabilized. The distortions faded. The impossible light dimmed. The ancient being withdrew. The swarm survived. I could not understand. After everything the swarm had done, why spare them? Then, the final revelation arrived. Not from the creature. From the humans. The swarm wasn't retreating because it was defeated. It was retreating because it had learned fear. For the first time, humans wanted them alive. Humans wanted them to remember, to carry that fear home, to tell every hive, every queen, every brood, a warning. The surviving swarm vessels fled into darkness. None pursued them. None needed to. The message had already spread. Weeks later, the war ended. Entire swarm regions surrendered. Others vanished beyond known space. No further invasions occurred. The alliance celebrated. Historians wrote books. Politicians claimed credit. I kept thinking about the void, about the creature, about humanity. Eventually, I asked Admiral Reyes one question. The question had haunted me since the battle. Were you never afraid of it? She laughed softly, a very human response. Then she answered, of course we were. That made no sense. Fear should stop creatures. Fear should control behavior. Humans constantly proved otherwise. She looked toward the stars. Being afraid isn't the important part. Then what is? Her smile returned. The important part is deciding what matters more. I spent years trying to understand that answer. I still can't. Perhaps no non-human ever will. But I know this. The galaxy believes humans survived inside the void. That is the famous story. The story repeated across 1,000 worlds. The story children learn in schools. The story historians celebrate. They're all wrong. Humans did not survive the void. The void survived humanity. And somewhere beyond reality, an ancient god still answers their calls. Humans did not survive the void. The void survived humanity. And somewhere beyond reality, an ancient god still answers their calls. Sometimes, on the quietest nights, I remember the impossible truth that changed our galaxy forever. Humans survived inside the void. No, that was never the impossible part. The impossible part was that the void became their friend. If you enjoyed this HFY Sci-Fi story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more epic human-first adventures across the stars. Because in this galaxy, the most terrifying thing isn't what's hiding in the darkness. It's what happens when humans walk into it without fear.